One thing American mass murderers have in common is that they are the very best equipped mass murderers in the world. They can thank Republicans for making sure that the best tools of mass murder are still legally available to them. And just like the mass murderer at a Pittsburgh synagogue before him, the mass murderer in El Paso agrees with Donald Trump that there is an invasion at our southern border.
It's an invasion of our country. We have an invasion of drugs, invasion of gangs, invasion of people.
I don't care what the fake media says. That's an invasion of our country.
We have right now an invasion. If you look at what's going on with the caravans, it's an invasion. Stop this onslaught, this invasion into our country, Jim. People hate the word invasion, but that's what it is.
The New York Times reports that since January, Mr. Trump's re-election campaign has posted more than 2,000 ads on Facebook that include the word invasion, part of a barrage of advertising focused on immigration. According to data obtained by the New York Times, the Trump campaign had one of its biggest expenditures on Facebook ads about immigration last week, just before the El Paso massacre. And surely the El Paso mass murderer noticed when one or more Trump supporters at a Trump rally in Florida yelled the solution to the invasion was to, quote, shoot them. The president clearly heard his devoted supporters yell, shoot them, and the president smiled. The president didn't say, don't shoot them. The president welcomed the comment. Everything about the president's reaction to one of his voters saying, shoot them, indicated that the president approved of the idea. The president actually offered his audience the strategic advice to not try to get away with saying shoot them unless they're in a place like the Florida Panhandle. The president's exact words were, that's only in the Panhandle you can get away with that statement. Now, I'm not going to show you that video tonight because in this mourning period, it is just too profoundly ugly and hateful to watch. And I'm sure most of you remember it, and I am very sure that the El Paso mass murderer remembers exactly what the president said about shooting them. Joining our discussion now is Julian Castro, Democratic presidential candidate. He was Secretary of Housing and Urban Development in the Obama administration after serving as mayor of San Antonio, Texas. Secretary Castro, your reaction to what has happened in El Paso and Ohio?
Well, it's sad for our country. And it's especially sad that the leader of our country is stoking the hatred and the bigotry and the division that is prompting people like that shooter to go and specifically search out Latinos to kill. This is the climate that we find ourselves in 2019. And, you know, what else can you say except that that's sad, and all of us should be sad. We should also be infuriated, as I know a lot of people are. And now what we need to do as a country is to figure out a way to channel that anger into something that will change things in our country. Common sense gun safety legislation. I was glad to see the folks in Ohio chant back and interrupt their governor, telling him to do something. It's also time for Congress to actually do something. And then also, we need to give the tools to the Department of Justice that they need so that they can root out this domestic terrorism, whether it's white supremacist terrorism or other types of domestic terrorism, because as you know, the Trump administration actually took money away from the agency that does that. And maybe most importantly, I think the best way to channel this anger is for people to register to vote and encourage others to register to vote and actually turn out and vote in leaders at every level who actually believe and have a track record of trying to bring people together instead of tearing people apart. Those are the things that we can do in our country to make things better.
I'd like you to listen to three El Paso residents, three teenagers. This is on Sunday at a vigil. They're speaking to Chris Jansing. Let's listen to what they have to say, and then I'd like you to speak to them.
To see that our city has been attacked by an outsider was just so hurtful and full of hate.
I'm having to realize that racism is so alive and strong that people are willing to kill us for it. I never had to come to terms with my own mortality for being Hispanic.
We're supposed to be one of the best countries in the world, and this is still happening.
A 17-year-old girl saying, "I never had to come to terms with my own mortality for being Hispanic."
You know, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I want her to grow up in a country where she can be proud of who she is and comfortable in her own brown skin and know that she's every bit as American as anybody else. And I think about my own family. You know, on my dad's side, they got here around 1900, and on my mother's side in 1922. That you've had generations of Latinos that have been a part of defending our country in war, you know, building up our nation in every single way that you can. And for a president now to base his entire political strategy on turning the Latino community, and especially recent immigrants, into the other, into the danger toward America. It doesn't belong in this country. He doesn't belong as president. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I know that I'm running to replace him. And I bet that a lot of other people who are in this race feel the same way.
Secretary Julian Castro, thank you for joining us on this difficult night. Really appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.